You are watching NCN.
Good afternoon, and I am Tiana Jordan, the Advocacy and Communications Officer for ChildLinK Inc. And this afternoon, I'd like to warmly welcome you to our discussion, which is centered on empowering youth, promoting sexual reproductive health and rights for a brighter future. This discussion falls under our Communities Responding in Emergencies project, which is funded by the delegation of the European Union in Guyana. This afternoon, I have with me Shaquille Rodney, and he is our diversion officer. This afternoon, he'll be co-hosting the program. Good afternoon, Shaquille. How are you?
Good afternoon, Tiana. I'm great. Today we have with us Athalcy Hunte, which is a CAPE student at the Queen's College, and she's also a part of the Youth Breaking Boundaries NGO. How are you today, Athalcy, if I may ask?
I'm great.
You're great. All right. Next with us we have Miss Simmia Gurrick, which is also a part of YBB, and you're a member, if I'm correct. And how are you doing today, Miss Gurrick?
I'm fine. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. And lastly with us today we have Miss Alliah Simon, who is a 20-year-old final year biology student at the University of Guyana, and she also works with the Office of the Prime Minister. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
You're great. Lovely.
Yes, so it's good to have you young people here. This topic is a very important topic, and it's good that you'll be here to share your views. I'm sure persons joining us this afternoon will be able to learn so much from you young ladies. And like I mentioned before, once again, the topic is empowering youth, promoting sexual reproductive health and rights for a brighter future. And as we get right into today's discussion, I want to hear from you. How would you ladies describe the term sexual reproductive health and rights? And maybe we can start with Athalcy.
Okay, so in my opinion, sexual and reproductive rights are basically those laws that govern both genders, male and female, when it comes to those aspects in terms of sexual health and so forth.
My definition of sexual reproductive health and rights, those are the rights governing an individual's health, whether it be reproductive or sexual. It pertains to sexual rights, sexual health, reproductive rights, or reproductive health. It not only governs adolescents, that we will be covering today, but it governs all individuals.
Yes, Alliah, I know they would have covered a lot in that definition, but is there anything you would like to add or maybe reiterate?
Yes, sexual and reproductive health and rights is basically made up of a wide range of issues that relates to one's physical, social well-being, and even their emotional well-being. It provides comprehensive sexual education, healthcare services, and contraception to ensure safe and informed choices by our adolescents, since we're covering adolescents today, so that basically that they can make safe and informed choices with sexual activity and reproduction.
Next question. What do you guys think? Why is it important for adolescents to learn about their sexual reproductive health and rights? We could go with Miss Simmia.
It is important for them to know so that they can safeguard their health, right? And it allows them to be aware and to stay clear of any diseases or illnesses that may threaten their life, or it can maybe the HIV virus, STDs, cancers, or unsafe abortions, and it allows them to live a long and fruitful life with health. Yeah.
Definitely. And Miss Hunt.
For me, I think sexual and reproductive health is important in adolescents because I believe that it allows them to make informed decisions about certain activities, be able to know that they are allowed to choose their partners and they're not forced upon because they're young, because a lot of people like to have that perception. But, just make informed decisions and allow them to know that they have the right to do whatever when it comes to, in regards to those aspects.
Okay, thank you. And Miss Simon, do you have anything to add there?
Yes, it is important for them to learn about this because it provides accurate information on the subject, and it equips them with the decision-making skills to make informed decisions when it comes to navigating their changing bodies, since adolescence is a stage where our boys and girls undergo so many physical and emotional changes. So that is why it is important. Also, if I must add, it also fosters a foundation of respect for their bodies and the bodies of others, and also to promote clear and smooth communication within their relationships and when it comes to sexual activity.
Okay.
Yes, I really like that you mentioned, that it fosters respect for their own bodies and so on, because, going through that adolescent stage, it's a stage where they, I must say, children go through so much changes with their body and so on, and, some that they might not like and some that they might like, and it's a stage where they also they're faced with so many challenges, so having that respect for their bodies and also learning about their sexuality is indeed very important. What are some ways both boys and girls can be able to maintain good sexual and reproductive health practices? Alliah, can you go first?
Sure. Okay, so first of all, I believe that they should have comprehensive sexual education. That is the first thing. So from there, they can go on. So when they have comprehensive sexual education, it enables them to make informed choices, such as practicing safe sex, accessing appropriate health care to their specific needs, and also contraception. Contraception plays a big role in CSC. Yeah.
Okay, Athalcy?
Yes, as Alliah said, I think it's important for us to be informed or knowledgeable on those aspects, but I also think that it is important to have regular screening, regular checked up doctor's appointments, and so forth, to add to what she said.
Okay.
Yes, I feel like they've covered it basically, but to add, individuals, adolescents, they can join clubs to, talk to other people regarding their sexual reproductive health and rights and the health and rights of others, just like.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And I know it's an all-female panel this afternoon, but we have a male in our midst. And I want to hear from you, Shakil, for the boys who will be watching, what are some good health, sexual and reproductive health practices that, they can follow?
To always remember, because as you said, even in schools, they always speak about, even when they speak about SRHR, they would, tend to, speak to the females more. So not only the boys, but I want to tell educators and so forth that they also need to, when they're speaking, speak to the boys and educate them on how responsible it is for them to know, educate them. I want to also let them know that they should make it a practice as to where they always going to do their checkups, as Miss Hunt said, regularly, a 3-month basis, 6 months. I would usually do it 3 months just to be careful. Remember, if you're in the age range where because sometimes you might tell kids, oh, don't have sex, but behind doors you don't know what's happening. So if it is that do happen, just to make sure you wear your condoms and be protective, because as we can see, the number in HIV has gone up to 9,000, I think, right now. So just to be careful and wear those protection. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that, Jackie.
You're welcome.
And as we move on, what challenges, like I mentioned before, there are a lot of challenges when it comes to young people. So what challenges would they face when it comes to accessing reproductive health services, and maybe how can they overcome some of these barriers, or what systems or maybe what can be done so that they wouldn't have to face these challenges?
Okay, like you said, there are a lot of challenges, but in Guyana, I think the main challenges would include stigmatism, lack of information, geographical access, socio-economic barriers, confidentiality concerns, cultural norms, and even simply just the bad attitude of these healthcare providers. So those are some challenges.
Yes, maybe you would like to expound on one or two of these challenges?
Yes, sure. With lack of information, well, I believe that there isn't really a lack of information, but is the adolescents, and not just adolescents, individuals as in a whole, not taking in this information, right? So comprehensive sexual education plays a major role here. The provision of this is important, and with cultural norms, I would just like to point out that I believe special programs should be designed in such a way that it does not disrespect these cultural norms, but also promotes clear communication in such a way that, you know, people would actually access it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, Athalcy?
So she basically mentioned almost all the points, but I think when it comes to stigmatism, I don't like the idea, so I'm just enhancing on how I think it could be overcome. I think a lot when we're growing up, it is embarrassing to talk about sexual and reproductive rights in general. So I think that when it comes to those areas, I think in schools it should be open and not, I know usually they separate the boys and girls when having these talks, but I think it should be an open conversation, allowing everybody to feel comfortable about these changes and not, you know, be embarrassed to talk about it when it comes to, you know, different regards and so forth.
That's so true, because it's sort of taboo in Guyana. And even Caribbean countries, every time you speak about it, it's just like they laugh about it, they don't take it serious. And I think that's a sort of a cultural problem.
Yeah, and
like,
if I may, that is why comprehensive sexual education plays a major role, because when persons are taught on these issues, stigmatism would not be an issue, because they would know why this is this way and whatever.
Yes, definitely. And then, you know, they wouldn't be laughing at certain things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and also in schools, this occurs where there's this stigma of embarrassment and you shouldn't speak on it. And it occurs in the homes as well, where, you know, parents don't engage their children on, you know, having safe reproductive and sexual health, and to engage in safe practices, and they don't tell them what to do in case something happens or where to go, and there's oftentimes no information provided. So
Yes, and on this same note, Alliah would have mentioned, you know, geography plays a major role, or it's a challenge when it comes to accessing these type of services. How can, you know, this be overcome?
Well, in my opinion, I think that this could be overcome by putting more, you know, small hospitals, you know, healthcare services, the clinics around these different areas, and, you know, having been amply suited. I feel like in Guyana, especially, Georgian Hospital is the main hospital, but I feel like if you could equip these clinics, with, you know, ample, you know, equipment that they're able to perform these procedures if anything needed be, and not just it be all the way in Georgetown when these different areas, you know, don't have. Recently I traveled all the way to Lethem, and I noticed no clinic nearby, so I was wondering to myself, you know, how would they, you know, deal with a situation if something was to occur. So I think, you know, putting different clinics in different areas would be a good solution to that.
Yes.
Yes. Like she mentioned, it is a major issue, especially in the hinterland regions. They don't have access to basic health care. So I think this would actually be a government issue. But not only government, but NGOs can play a role.
Correct.
So putting down clinics and staffing them with people that are knowledgeable or professional or trained persons, right? So that is something that can help to combat that challenge.
Definitely.
You can also have the information be disseminated through various platforms, both nationally and internationally, because, you know, some people may not have heard of these things before, and you can have people who are going out and speaking in public to these people, and you can have workshops and any type of discussion with young adolescents and individuals to inform them on these practices. And
Yes, you're all making some very valid points. What I want to add when it comes to dissemination of the information, we know that in Guyana, or indigenous people, they have their own languages, and when it comes to information, SRHR, these things should be translated in the different indigenous languages. Yes.
To add to what Alliah was saying, even with NGOs, is the government should start working along with these stakeholders, and because we have a lot of NGOs, we have GRPA and YAM. I know YAM would do work when it comes to SRHR, and so educating more persons and doing workshops, as Athalcy said, more persons will be trained to help. And if I'm to mention, ChildLinK actually and myself, we've been working along to go to different schools and small NGOs just to talk about SRHR and make persons more aware and educate them on moving forward. Yeah.
Yes, and we're having a very fruitful discussion this afternoon, I must add. For persons joining us, we have Athalcy Hunte, Simmia Gurrick, and Alliah Simon this afternoon, sharing their views on this afternoon's topic, empowering youth, promoting sexual reproductive health and rights among adolescents. And what role can young people play when it comes to advocating for better sexual education and reproductive health services in their schools?
Okay, so what I would say is raise awareness. They can actually form little groups or clubs or whatever they want to call it and raise awareness, and from this they can set up workshops and discussions and collaborate with experts in these fields, and essentially fostering a environment that respects comprehensive sexual education in schools. I actually know of this program called Health Clubs. I think it's under Ministry of Education. I'm not too sure, but I was a part of the Health Club in my secondary school, and that is something that they would do. But if they would actually take it more seriously and implement this
So it's sustainable
inside all schools in Guyana, then that would actually be very helpful.
Play a big role.
Yeah.
Yes, Athalcy.
I think in regards to this, I think that social media plays a big part in, what adolescents are a part of, and we have a lot of, adolescents of the same age, on those platforms. So I think that, all like us, we're having discussions on sexual and reproductive health. So I think that, Simmia and I, Alliah as well, you as well, we could basically share these links, share pieces of the clips, on different social media platforms, allowing, and also, in schools, we could always opt to have open discussions on these topics.
I think both of my colleagues covered it. That's basically what you have to do. And the more information is out there, the better it is for anybody who is in trouble or is in need of help.
Definitely.
My question to the panel, what sexual reproductive health and rights issue should parents be talking to their children about? Is there like a specific one, or yeah, I'll go ahead with you, Alliah.
I think that they should talk about all of it, because each one of them is very important. Anatomy and physiology, that's very important. Adolescence is a stage where their bodies undergo changes. The girls would start seeing their menstrual cycle, they would start seeing pubic hair and all of these things. So that is just one of it. I'll allow my colleagues to expand.
Athalcy.
Yeah. Okay. So as Alliah said, I think that all of them are equal. None is better than the other. So I think that we should have, we should have open. It should be open. We talk about everything equally, and to show that not one is more important. Because when it comes to these different changes that adolescents go through, some people experience one greater than the other. Somebody might experience body odor greater than somebody else. So you can't place more emphasis on another one. So I think, allowing each one of them to have, an equal part or equal play in it is important. I'm not going to, say that one is better than the other. Yeah.
Okay. And Ms. Simmia.
Yes, they should also place emphasis on why these things should be done. Not only tell them, this is bad or this is good. You could tell them why, because oftentimes, you're just telling them don't do this and they don't know why, and they're like, I don't see anything wrong with that. So you should obviously tell them why you should not engage in such activities, or tell them to speak to somebody if they were to become.
Yeah. And how soon do you ladies think the conversation should start, with children? What age do you think they should be when it comes to talking about sex and so on? Because I know the cases that most parents would probably usually wait until they're in that adolescent stage to start telling, or until their child starts doing something that they don't like or they're not supposed to be doing. So how soon do you think that conversation should start?
Well, I wouldn't put an age on it, but parents should engage with their children in age-appropriate conversations. So, like if this child is 5 years old, because as small as 5-year-olds are asking questions, right? This is a new era, new world, new society, all these things. So if a 5-year-old asks, oh, mommy, what is this? And they point to their private part, they shouldn't say, oh, there's nothing. They should start discussing with them in age-appropriate conversations.
Yes.
In my opinion, I think that each facet or each area of sexual reproductive health has its own age, or when it's appropriate to speak about it. As Alliah stated, a 5-year-old doesn't necessarily need to know about sex at that age, because they won't be informed about it, or it won't be something that's going on at that specific time. So I think each area has its time. When a person going through puberty around the age of 8, maybe when it's sexual health, around 12 when they reach high school. So I think it's dependent on the area, and that's when you'll know the age. And also you got to look at how times are changing as well. So,
that's
how,
so true.
Yeah, how
with technology, and they're on their tablet, sometimes they would play a game and then something might pop up, and then the kid like, what is this? And kids love to press and they would click on it, and things might pop up. So definitely technology plays a big role in today's society.
Yeah, so being a person who heard about these things my entire life, because my mom's a social worker, so in the house, she would usually say that it is better that you tell the children when they ask about it. It doesn't matter about what age the child is. If a child is 3 years old and there's like, what is that? You should tell them. You shouldn't be, oh, you're too young to know about this, or you're too old, You should just tell them and put it in a way that they would understand. Don't use big words. Use small and understandable words for their age group.
Yes.
Yeah, and if I might add, talking to children about sexual and reproductive health and their rights is not only about sex, like the physical activity. It all involves so much more conversations on consent and healthy relationships, and all of these things plays a major part. So that is all I wanted to add.
Definitely. I have a question for you guys, and I'll start with Miss Simmia. What do you think are some roles schools could play in promoting sexual reproductive health and rights among adolescents? Or if they do, what is it that they could add if they've already started that you know of?
They can engage in they can regularly go to the students and engage them in these topics and the different areas and yeah.
Okay. And Ms. Athalcy, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I think that adding the topic in the curriculum would be a good idea, even if it's, not on the C-sex syllabus or whatever it is. I think adding it to the curriculum is important, but not only having the theory, but allowing them to engage in the conversation, maybe having, physical things that, show how this is done and so forth in regards to those aspects.
And even open discussions would be good. Miss Alliah.
Yes, adding comprehensive sexual education to the school's curriculum is something that I would like to see. Actually, there is a subject called HFLE, but it is not actually taken seriously.
Yeah.
Some teachers don't even show up to teach it, and all these things. It's not actually reinforced. Just like how maths and science is important subjects, comprehensive sexual education in school systems should also be a main subject area that is taught throughout. And another thing schools can do is implement counselors inside the school, counselors that are trained, counselors that are not judgmental, so that they can meet the needs of our adolescents. And another thing also is provide on-site healthcare services. Like some schools would have a nurse, or a doctor, I don't know, a nurse that they can go to and access these healthcare services.
Yeah, definitely, and not even not just. What I want to add is confidentiality too.
Yes.
That counselor.
Yeah,
should
that
be
is why I said that they should be non-judgmental, because these students would be scared to go and speak to the counselor if they know that they're going to broadcast it to the whole staff.
Exactly.
So confidentiality plays a major role in that.
And last, something else I want to add too is that I know most of these schools would have like a Facebook group or a Facebook page, and so most children would join just to see what's happening. So I think that they should start doing like posters and little flyers, like informational. Like they could do it on a Monday, so like children will know, like, hey, on Monday, like my school is putting out this post on SRH, let me see what it's saying.
Yeah,
or send it, or teachers would have WhatsApp groups, so they could send it to the WhatsApp group. So parents could be able to see the information, put it over to the children, or if the children have access to that WhatsApp, I think that would be good.
Yes, and they can also bring professionals into the school, because the teachers may not be trained on certain topics, and they may not be able to address certain questions the students may have.
Yeah.
And certain times students may be afraid to go to their teachers to speak, like Miss Alliah said. They're afraid their teachers may see them in a different light and may know what's going on at home or anywhere, and they may want somebody they know that is trustworthy and knows about the topic to speak to them.
Apart from adding comprehensive sexual education to the curriculum, a small approach would actually be to like design programs, small programs inside the school. Like the school timetable is like divided into different periods, so they could have a specific period to speak on sexual and reproductive health and their rights. I know that President's College, they had this period where they would actually like separate the boys and the girls, and they would have a session with them and speak on hygiene and all these things. So I think that is a great idea as well.
But I think we want to move apart from separating to have them together and just
but
have
that
a
is
big
what
open
they
discussion.
did, so yeah.
Yes, and I know we would have touched on the importance of social media when it comes to, disseminating information and so on. In what ways can social media be used to provide accurate information about sexual reproductive health and rights?
Well, I think that social media could add for good sexual reproductive rights because they can add accurate information. I know there's a lot of doctors, that write articles and stuff like that. There's different case studies in regards to those aspects. So I think that you could use that. And I think you also need to fact check your source in which you're using, because, people can also spread false information. So these taboos and all these different things come to being. So, ensuring that it's reliable, I think, is important.
Yes, you can also have the credible sources, like the United Nations Population Fund. When they publish their article, they can publish, people discussing stuff on their social media pages where they know the adolescents would be, and posting it regularly, not every once in a blue moon, so that it is more prominent on the media and it is more seen.
Okay, researchers have actually proved that adolescents favor social media over medical accuracy because it provides accessibility and confidentiality, unlike clinics that would actually need parental involvement. So social media plays a huge role, and persons can easily access any information they want. They can go to credible sources like the World Health Organization. I know they do a lot of stuff on comprehensive sexual education and these things. So that is where our adolescents can learn from. Also, the various social media platforms, especially TikTok. TikTok is such a prevalent app Everyone use it, from the smallest child to the oldest
Yes.
person. And I personally use it like Google. Anything I want, I would just type it in into TikTok and I would see videos on it. And it's short videos, so it actually catches you. Our organizations can actually use that platform to disseminate information to our adolescents.
Credible and accurate
Credible and
information.
accurate,
that is, yes.
yeah.
Yes, I wanted to make that point, but thank you, Alliah. You hit it. You hit the nail. My question to you guys now: what advice would you give to someone who wants to learn more about their sexual reproductive health and rights, but doesn't know where to start or where to go?
For me, I would say pick up the phone and use it for that purpose. Everybody's use a phone. It's just one click away. Everything you need is just one click away. Pick up the phone and do your research. Do your research and obviously use credible sources such as the World Health Organization. That is something that our adolescents can utilize. Use the phone for constructive purposes, and also apart from the internet, they can reach out to experts or healthcare providers and even trusted adults to seek support.
Okay. Would you be able to say what are some of those services or places they can go to that you've mentioned? Like somewhere that speaks about the SRH or would have those information that children could go to. Do you know of any right now in Guyana?
Right now in Guyana, I know about GRPA, the Guyana Responsible Parenthood Association, and even the Ministry of Health.
Okay.
Because they have an adolescent unit.
Okay. Nice.
Yes, and they can also go to the Child Care and Protection Agency. They deal with everything for children, or they can call them on their hotline, 227-0979 if they have any questions, or they can have their parents call.
Okay.
To add to what they stated, apart from, our phones being, a source that we can use, I think, as I stated earlier, and as Alliah stated earlier, people in different geographical areas of Guyana might not have access to this. And I know that we have different organizations in Guyana that we can use, but not everybody feels comfortable on the phone. The mother walks in, then they hear them on the phone talking to some older person. Next, they get lashes for it or something. So I think also you can go to teachers, especially biology teachers, that they have a degree and they're well informed on those areas. So I think, a more quick, fast, safe method could be to always to go to a teacher as well in schools.
Or these NGOs could even go to outreaches at these different regions that may not have services or Wi-Fi. So they could go and do an outreach, a mobilization, set up some people, do some workshop. I think that could work as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But with reaching out to teachers, some of these teachers, they just know logics. They just know, okay, biology, this is a reproductive organ, but they are not actually ethical. So that would pose a challenge with reaching out to teachers.
So maybe what we could have is professionals being trained these teachers, and so you send and so we make those trained teachers public so that persons know, hey, you can reach out to Miss Alliah for certain information or Miss Athalcy. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
even if they don't want to go to an individual, you can always go and read a book. There are many academic journals or many publishers who address these topics in their books and their publishings, and you can go and read it. Go to the National Library or whatever library you may have contact to, and you go and find these and you read, because there are credible sources there, and you can trust this information.
Nice.
Yes. And now this one here is a very big one. How can we, ensure that everyone's sexual reproductive health and rights are respected, protected, regardless of their background or their beliefs? Alliah, would you like to?
Sure. Well, comprehensive sexual education, I've been mentioning that for the longest while through, but that is very important. When persons are educated on the subject, they would know to be inclusive, they would know to be respectful, they would know to be respectful to every individual despite their cultural background or anything. So that is something that we can do. Educate.
My question to you, Alliah, before we move on, how does one get into or start learning about CSE? Like what services or where offer those services?
Well, In my experience, I actually started learning about it in the health club in my school.
Okay.
So they would actually be exposed to that in school and on the internet. And also, they can keep an eye out for events that fosters comprehensive sexual education. Like for me, I would have signed up for different workshops with GRPA, and that was my stepping stone to this comprehensive sexual education world.
Nice.
Athalcy?
Yes, I think, I like the point that Alliah brought out, but many people are informed on these topics but still choose to, not abide by it and, still remain prejudiced towards certain people. So I think ensuring that there are suitable consequences to discriminating against a person is very important. And I think not only writing it by law, because, you could write it and nobody overseeing it. So also having people that do regular checks, and obviously spontaneous, so they don't know, to ensure that they are, abiding by these laws and not discriminating against people, and allowing them to know what would be, it would be cause for firing and all these different things, and what exactly, or what activities, or what actions you do that could cause you to, not be abiding by these different laws that they have.
That's correct.
I feel that education begins at home, right? So the parents can educate their children on respecting others, and with respecting others comes respect for yourself, right? So you can tell your children that you should respect others' beliefs, whether it's different from yours, whether you may not agree, whether it's not particularly right, that yes, it may not be right, but you should also respect it. And it comes with, once you see a person being disrespected, the next thing that person who is disrespecting that person is going to do is disrespect you. So it is important that you reach out and you tell others about what the other person is going through to prevent the spread to other people or to yourself.
Yes, I think it all comes down to behavioral change, ensuring, because a person could be educated on the topic, like Athalcy said, but how would that change them? How would they go about, using what they've learned or implementing what they've learned? And is there anything else you ladies would like to add?
To build on what you said, these persons are educated, but then it comes back to their personal value. Okay, they know that their different sexuality and sexual orientation and these things, but they might be a religious person, and they would choose not to go in that direction or bring up their children to respect these people. And so it all comes back to all of that being incorporated.
Definitely. Would you like to add anything to that?
I think that we've covered all of the things or all the aspects of SRHR, if not most. But I want to remind persons, other than SRHR, ChildLinK actually is hosting a national adolescent SRHR essay competition, Arts and Spoken Word. And so we want to encourage persons, maybe if this is the first time you're hearing about it, what you can do is check our Facebook page at ChildLinK Inc. Or you could send us a message on 609-3669 to get more information about the essay, Arts and Spoken Word, that is currently going on.
And seeing that you've mentioned it, Shakil, can you just remind us of who is eligible and maybe remind us of the deadline so they know how many days? Because I know it's approaching, so just remind us of that.
Yeah, so children between the ages of 11 to 18 are eligible, and the deadline is September 7th. For persons that have already registered, we're asking that you can start sending your submission. Ms. Athalcy, have you started the essay, if I may ask?
Yes, I have.
You have, great. So sooner or later, I should be expecting your piece.
Yes.
Great. So just a simple reminder that the submission date is September 7th at 4 p.m. And if you're having any difficulties, please remind to call us on 609-3669 when it comes to the essay. That needs to be sent to us via a PDF format on our email at srodney@childlinkgy.org or shakil.rodney 2155@gmail.com. That is SHAQUIEL.RODNEY 2155@gmail.com.
Yes, thanks for sharing that information, Shakil. And before I wrap things up this afternoon, I'll just give you ladies the floor to give your final comments.
Well, I would just like to encourage our adolescents to take comprehensive sexual education very seriously. And what I've noticed, like this evening, the panel is made up of only females. So I believe that our young boys should also be involved. So if you're a young boy out there and you might think that, as a man. No. This is a human thing. Let us all come together and take comprehensive sexual education very seriously so that we can have a society that respects that.
Nice.
Simmia?
Yes, I think that you should not be afraid to speak out. Do not be afraid to say what's happening with you. Do not afraid to say that you have a problem. Do not be afraid to ask questions. It is important for you to be informed, and you should take advantage of every opportunity that you have.
As my colleague stated, I think that Alliah brought out a point about gender, which that was my point I was going to state. So I think that is good. I like Simmia's point as well, but I would like others to know that it's not something for a rich person or somebody that's only wealthy, but no matter your status, it is important to have it. And many places have these resources for free, so I don't think that you have to have $1 million to ensure that you are safe. So that's the point I'd like us to leave with.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here this afternoon and to be a part of ChildLink's discussion, on promoting sexual reproductive health and rights. It's a very important topic, and I'm sure persons joining us this afternoon, Shakil, they would have learned so much from you, ladies, and let's hope that they now go out there and share what they've learned, with other young people. And with that being said, I am Tiana Jordan, the Advocacy and Communications Officer at ChildLinK, and with me this afternoon was Shakil Rodney, our Diversion Officer, Athalcy Hunte, Simmia Gurrick, and Alliah Simon. And this afternoon's discussion falls under our Communities Responding in Emergencies CRIE project, which is funded by the delegation of the European Union in Guyana. I want to say thank you for joining us this afternoon, and do enjoy the rest of your evening.